Jake Paul has been brutally knocked out in a recent sparring session for the Mike Tyson fight. Moreover, Floyd Mayweather has just expressed his views on the upcoming bout in his signature style. Paul's decision to take on Tyson was praised by Mayweather, but not for the reason one might anticipate. Mayweather remarked that what Jake was doing was rather impressive. He acknowledged that if Jake could continue to make money and they paired him with suitable opponents, he couldn't criticize his efforts.
Mike, soon in the summer. What do you think defines a real boxer? Because I feel like people are still confused on if Jake Paul is a YouTuber boxer or a real boxer. How do you feel like you get out of that bubble to make somebody a real boxer?
I mean, what he's doing is, kind of cool. If he can continue to steal money and they match him the way they match him, I can't knock his hustle. So if they can match him the way how they've been matching them.
Barring any additional setbacks, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are scheduled to face off in a fully sanctioned professional boxing match on November 15th. Originally slated for July 20th, the match was postponed due to Tyson's health issues related to an ulcer flare-up. Both fighters are now ready and excited to enter the ring this fall for a highly anticipated bout. Many seasoned boxing and MMA veterans have shared their thoughts on the fight, with ongoing concerns about the 30-year age difference between Paul and Tyson. Now, Floyd has weighed in with his unique perspective.
How they've been matching them, more power to them.
The remarks fit Money Mayweather perfectly, given his role in revolutionizing both boxing and its promotion, especially after his 2017 bout with UFC star Conor McGregor. Mayweather emphasized that in today's digital age, boxers must actively market themselves on platforms like TikTok and YouTube. This also involves taking on matches that might seem unconventional, such as the one between Paul and Tyson. Mayweather said in another interview, "The promoter is dying. It's now the responsibility of the fighter to promote himself. That's the new boxing world. Just hustle, man. Just hustle." Mayweather's respect for Paul appears heartfelt and sincere, recognizing and appreciating his efforts. Ultimately, for many, the source of their earnings is secondary to the value of the money itself. On the other hand, Jake Paul recently acknowledged that Mike Tyson's withdrawal may mean that their fight never takes place. Tyson is gearing up to restart his training in the upcoming weeks in preparation for the new fight date. However, the former undisputed heavyweight champion has remained largely silent since his withdrawal. Meanwhile, Paul provided an update to the New York Post, stating, "If Tyson wants it, I'm down. The keys are in his hands." Jake further mentioned that it would be a great honor to step into the ring with Mike Tyson. He noted that it was Tyson who wanted it to be a professional fight, and Tyson had assured him that he was fine despite any problems, stating he was ready and eager for the match. He added, "We're not Mike Tyson's dad. We're not his boss. If Mike Tyson wants the fight, it would be my honor, and I'm down to do it." Jake then mentioned that Mike Tyson was ready to go and just needed a couple of weeks to get back into training. He added, "We're all just praying and hoping that everything is good and that he stays healthy. That's first and foremost. He's Mike Tyson at the end of the day. He has lethal knockout power and is very, very experienced. I think it is going to be a brawl regardless." Jake is on the hunt for his 10th career victory as he prepares to square off against Mike Perry next month. After transitioning from the UFC, he has gained significant recognition in the bare knuckle fighting championship. Jake has even hinted at a potential future showdown with the Irish superstar. He has acknowledged that fighting Perry will put his plans to challenge Tyson in jeopardy. He added, "I think I am crazy for this. I definitely am, because I don't think anyone would take the risk in this position, but that's just what makes me different. I'm not slowing down for anyone, and I want to stay active in the gym." The extra months could be crucial for Tyson's recovery, potentially improving his performance compared to a July showdown. Intriguingly, some speculate whether Mike Perry stepping in as Tyson's replacement was a contingency all along. Regardless of opinion, this fight has everyone talking. In a conversation with TMZ, wrestling icon Hulk Hogan expressed his excitement for the upcoming fight. Despite numerous press conferences fueling the anticipation, some speculate that this might just be a publicity stunt orchestrated by Paul, and the fight may never materialize. During an encounter with the youthful and thriving Paul, Hogan bluntly questioned the authenticity of the event. Hulk Hogan, a master of showmanship himself, was clearly captivated by the prospect of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson squaring off. However, when given the chance to question Jake, Hogan seemed eager to confirm that the punches would be genuine.
If it was anybody else, I would say yes, but Tyson has that eye of the tiger, brother. I mean, when he gets focused, he will seek and destroy. And I see that bad dog look in his eye now. It's like when you don't trust a bad dog that might bite you at any time. That's the look he's got. I remember that look from 25 years ago, bro. It's kind of scary. I just hope Jake Paul steps up is ready for Iron Mike.
Hogan mentioned that he was friends with both men, expressing his affection for Mike Tyson while recounting his experience with Jake Paul at the Formula One races in Miami. He shared that he had pulled Jake aside to ask if the fight was staged like wrestling or if they were genuinely going to compete. Jake responded that he intended to knock Tyson out. Hogan expressed his excitement for the rescheduled fight, emphasizing his desire for both men to be at 100% with no excuses. He added that he had a feeling this would be the fight of the century and that it was going to be a great one.
Keep forgetting his name is Iron Mike Tyson. And, this is just a small glitch in the system, a temporary setback. If you watch Tyson train, he's quick, he's fast, he moves like he did 20 years ago. I'm friends with both guys. Love Mike to death, but I was down in Miami at the Formula races with Jake Paul, and I pulled Jake aside and said, "Hey, bro, what's up with this thing? I mean, is this a work like wrestling? Or are you guys going to really go out?" He goes, "I'm going to knock his ass out." I'm excited about it. I'm kind of glad it's rescheduled because I don't want any excuses. I want both men at 100%. And I got a feeling this is going to be the fight of the century, brothers. This is going to be a good one.
Shifting from a main event headlined by a legendary boxer to one featuring a rising star in an entirely different sport might seem like a downgrade due to the lack of a major streaming platform and a 90,000-plus seat stadium. However, Jake Paul versus Mike Perry offers a more intriguing matchup for several reasons. Perry, a once prominent UFC fighter who transitioned to bare-knuckle boxing, has found thriving success as the emblematic figure of one of the world's most ruthless boxing leagues. While many fighters leaving the UFC struggle to find their footing, Platinum Perry has not only flourished in BKFC, but has elevated his status to a level surpassing his MMA career peak. When Tyson's bout with Jake was rescheduled, he expressed his gratitude to his fans worldwide for their support and understanding. He explained that due to an ulcer flare-up, his doctor had advised him to reduce his training for a few weeks to rest and recover. Tyson mentioned that his body was in the best shape it had been since the 1990s, and that he would soon return to his full training schedule. He remarked, "My body is in better overall shape than it has been since the 1990s, and I will be back to my full training schedule soon." Jake Paul, this may have bought you some time, but in the end, you will still be knocked out and out of boxing for good. I appreciate everyone's patience and can't wait to deliver an unforgettable performance later this year. Former three-weight world champion and Hall of Fame fighter James Toney is one individual who concurs with that prediction. Speaking to pro boxing fans, Toney expressed his belief that Tyson will defeat Paul in less than 30 seconds and that the 30-year age difference will not be a factor. He said, "You need to slap yourself for even asking who wins. You know damn well that Mike will knock that motherfucker out within 30 seconds. Paul, known both as a YouTube sensation and a burgeoning professional boxer, has repeatedly squared off against seasoned UFC veterans such as Tyron Woodley and Nate Diaz, effortlessly sending them to the mat. Given this track record, it's hard to imagine Mike Perry posing a significant challenge to the problem child. However, should Perry manage the unexpected and triumph over Paul, what implications would this hold for a potential Mike Tyson bout?" UFC veteran Brendan Schaub firmly believes it wouldn't derail those plans. Recently, Schaub, known for his roles as a stand-up comic, podcaster, and UFC veteran, made a notable appearance on his podcast, Thick Cheesy Boy. During the show, his co-host questioned him about the potential repercussions if Paul were to lose the Perry fight, particularly how it might impact the upcoming Mike Tyson bout. In response, Schaub explained, "Nope, people are so naive and just so like Paul Tyson. I don't think it does anything. In any case, Schaub thinks Paul won't have an easy time in the Perry fight. Say what you want to say. That is a fucking risky move, man," the stand-up comedian said. In the interim, Paul's old UFC rival has provided some words of encouragement for his former UFC colleague, Mike Perry. Despite Perry and Paul squaring off for the first time on July 20th, this won't be their inaugural clash. They actually have some history. Back in 2021, they faced off once before, and a clip of that encounter has been circulating online recently.
Good job, dude. Kick my ass.
No, it's good, bro. Good work.
It seems Jake is really struggling there. Nevertheless, Tyron Woodley advised his friend and former colleague to keep an eye on these developments. In an interview with the Schmo on June 21st, Woodley said, "Be composed and be patient. Perry knows what it's like to spar Jake Paul. He knows Jake will punch and stick and move." Sharing his own experience facing Paul, Woodley revealed that Paul wasn't trying to knock him down. Instead, Paul was moving around. So he added, "I feel like that's the part that Mike Perry has to look out for." If Jake Paul falls to Mike Perry, contrary to Schaub's prediction, it could solidify fans' expectations of Tyson delivering a knockout against Paul later this year. However, Paul remains a formidable opponent despite Perry's accomplishments in bare-knuckle boxing. Meanwhile, Mike Perry believes that Jake Paul and his camp are underestimating him, owing to their decision to take this fight on short notice. While the Tampa contest against Perry is still far off after Tyson's rescheduled November fight, there remains a chance for Platinum to disrupt this match with a decisive victory over Paul. Perry himself confessed that whilst this is the goal, he has some conflicted views about what the conclusion may be if he does knock Paul out. In his conversation with Michael Bisping, Perry emphasized his plan to travel to Tampa with the sole intention of knocking out Paul, thereby disrupting his rescheduled bout with Tyson. He also discussed the dilemma of facing Tyson, expressing concern about potentially harming the 58-year-old fighter. Talking about his fight with Jake, Mike Perry mentioned that he might nibble on Paul's ear a bit to prepare him for his fight with Mike Tyson. Perry expressed his intention to disrupt Jake's plans, hoping that after knocking Jake out, he would be offered a fight with Tyson instead on Netflix.
I said my fist was gonna marry his face, and
he's gonna give you a reach around.
Yeah, you know that one. That was his there. You know, we can get it freaky. That's fine because it's gonna get dirty and nasty in there in the ring. I might nibble on his ear a little bit, better get him ready for if he thinks he's gonna fight Mike Tyson. I'm trying to ruin that whole thing for him. See if they offer it to me after I knock Jake out. I would be like, hey, do you want to fight Mike Tyson on Netflix?
Perry further added that he would fight Mike Tyson, but he didn't want to come across as disrespectful. He acknowledged that he could go in and spar with Tyson, but if Tyson couldn't knock him out, it might make Perry look bad for doing well against an older opponent. Perry admitted that Tyson might be able to hurt him significantly, but he didn't want to be seen as the villain in that scenario. Perry expressed conflicted emotions about boxing Tyson, emphasizing his opposition to the Paul fight as a disruptive factor he aims to prevent. Perry added that the real win for him would be to prevent Jake Paul from fighting Mike Tyson, but he didn't want to affect Tyson's earnings either. He stated that if Tyson wanted to get paid and still fight, he would step in for Jake. Perry mentioned that he would put up a good guard and let Tyson punch him.
Choice? If you're in that ring with Mike Tyson, do you really have a choice?
Oh, he's going to come at you 100%. And he's still got the power. But you knock out Jake Paul, there's a potential that fight never happens.
That's the real win here. I can stop that. But I don't want it to hurt Mike's pockets either.
Of course.
If Mike wants to get paid and he wants to fight, well then I'll step in for Jake. I'll put my guard up real good, let him punch on me.
Moreover, Mike Perry has claimed that his purse for his fight with Jake Paul is right on cue with what he earns at BKFC. With the bare-knuckle boxing promotion, Platinum, who is 5-0, won $600,000 for his devastating first-round victory over Thiago Alves in April. His most lucrative payout from the organization stands at a reported $1.1 million, earned during his bout against former UFC lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez last December. The expectation of landing a bout with Paul, one of the emerging names in combat sports, is that the money would be life-changing. However, in response to Michael Bisping's question, Perry said, "It's not bad. Perfect timing with BKFC. Nothing extraordinary. But if the DAZN pay-per-view does well, his purse might get a nice bump." Perry added, "It depends. There are a lot of streamers out there. I'm hoping the pay-per-view does well and that people buy the show because DAZN be a little pricey out there sometimes. But we are out there working for that money, so buy the event and I'll give you the fight you want to see. I'm going to do that regardless." Perry further added, "The money is right there with BKFC with me, and I've already established and set myself and my family up. Now I can have fun. Now I can enjoy the fight and put on a show and try to be the best Platinum Mike Perry the world has ever seen." Perry was first invited to join the undercard of Paul and Tyson's July 20th event, slated to fight former WBC middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. However, he declined the offer, citing the inadequate compensation. Perry told the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, "There were some things on the table with that, and the pay wasn't incredible, especially considering the opponent. I was like, I'm interested in being on the Mike Tyson Netflix card to get that exposure against this certified professional boxer." After Perry was turned down, Darren Till, a former UFC welterweight title challenger, was chosen to take on Chavez Jr. Perry added, "But the money, and there was another option that would be, and I could only choose one of them. It was like there was another option to have more money and possibly opens more doors, and there's some incentives involved that I was like, this would be more interesting. That fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. would have been cool, but it's not happening." Since Jake Paul first announced the Iron Mike bout, UFC icon Daniel Cormier has been vocal in opposition, citing significant age disparities and health concerns surrounding Mike Tyson. However, with the younger Paul brother now set to face off against a much younger Mike Perry, Cormier Cormier appears to find the matchup more acceptable. Jake Paul had assured his followers of his commitment to boxing professionally against seasoned fighters. However, the allure of a crossover match proved irresistible. Similarly, Cormier weighed in on the Paul vs. Perry bout in a recent YouTube video, highlighting the intriguing possibilities ahead. Cormier commented that Jake fighting Mike Perry was on brand in one regard, but he found it refreshing because Perry is still young and fighting in his prime.
Him fighting Mike Perry, it's on brand in one regard, but it's refreshing because Perry is still young and still fighting in his prime.
Moreover, Cormier highlighted that Jake Paul's choice to face Mike Perry aligns with his pattern of challenging former UFC fighters. However, this bout promises an added intensity because Perry remains an active competitor and a prominent figure in the bare-knuckle fighting championship. This time, Perry's motivation extends beyond mere pride, ensuring a fiercely contested encounter against Jake Paul.
When I first heard it, I thought, okay, he's fighting a small guy because Mike Perry fought at 170 when he was in the UFC, and now in bare knuckle, he seems to fight between 170 to 200, I guess. So I said, okay, Jake Paul wants to fight another small guy. But then I started to think about it. When Luke Rockhold fought Mike Perry in bare knuckle, when he got the fight, I will admit, me as Luke's friend, me as a guy that has seen Mike Perry in mixed martial arts, me as a guy that knows what Luke Rockhold's capable of, I immediately said to Luke, oh, this is easy money. He's too small because Jake fights smaller guys. It is what it is. Tyron Woodley's small, Ben Askren small. He really has fought welterweights, right? Anderson was the only bigger one.
Meanwhile, Mike Perry has been attempting to gain insight into Jake Paul's mind and has requested that the 27-year-old make available the video of their 6-year-old sparring session. As I mentioned before, Mike Perry and Jake Paul once sparred together during Paul's early days in boxing, when he was still gaining experience and training. Perry, known as Platinum, has expressed interest in Paul sharing the footage of their sparring session. He discussed this with Ariel Helwani, emphasizing the importance of transparency in their shared experience. He said, "You know what you would see? You'd watch him punch me as hard as he could, and then I smile, and then keep coming forward, and he cracks inside a little bit, like, damn, what do I gotta do?" Mike Perry confidently asserted that despite his smaller size compared to Jake Paul, he managed to land significant blows without feeling the impact of Paul's punches. Perry's reputation in the fighting community for having an ironclad chin, capable of enduring substantial punishment, underscores the challenge Paul faces, improving his power in this matchup. However, Jake Paul anticipates finishing his forthcoming fight in less than 10 minutes and predicts a quick knockout victory over Mike Perry. Paul boldly declared to his fans on his YouTube channel that he would secure his 10th professional victory over Perry in less than 3 rounds. Paul confidently stated his official prediction for the fight with Perry, declaring it would last 3 rounds or less. He asserted that Perry and others couldn't match his skills, emphasizing that his development under new coaches over the past year had been remarkable, and no one had truly witnessed his full abilities.
My official prediction for the fight, 3 rounds or less, calling it now. These guys can't hang with me. Nobody's really been able to see my skill for the past year. I've had new coaches, development has gone amazing.
The influential YouTuber was further enthused about the chance to perform and score a knockout. Paul expressed his excitement about putting on a performance and securing a knockout. He stated that these were the situations he enjoyed putting himself in, believing they were necessary for his improvement, especially under the pressure of competition.
And I'm excited to put on a performance July 20th, get this knockout, get this W, lose to Mike Perry. But for some reason, these are the positions that I like to put myself in and that I feel like I have to put myself in to get better inside the ring under the lights. And just being honest, at one point we made the decision to not do this fight. We were like, let's not do it, let's just wait for Mike. And then I went to sleep that night, and then the next night, and I was sitting there and I was like, you know what, F it, why not?
Paul first turned down the chance to take on Perry on the prearranged date, but he later changed his mind in order to have more experience before taking on Tyson. Former UFC fighter Perry spent 5 years with the promotion, but never managed to reach world title contention. Now, at 32, he has dedicated himself to bare-knuckle boxing. Perry, who previously sparred with Paul to help him prepare for his fight against Ben Askren, has remained undefeated after 5 significant matchups in this new arena. Paul does concede, though, that going up against Perry might jeopardize his planned fight with Tyson. Paul added that he saw the fight as an opportunity to gain more experience against another well-known tough opponent. He described Mike Perry as a bare-knuckle legend, emphasizing Perry's reputation for being someone who can't be knocked out, a vicious and violent brawler. Paul characterized Perry as a lunatic, highlighting his undefeated record in bare-knuckle fighting, which he considered one of the craziest sports in the world.
Why not gain more experience against another notorious known killer? Mike Perry, the bare-knuckle legend, the man that can't be knocked out, the vicious, violent brawler. This guy is a fucking lunatic. He's undefeated in bare knuckle, which is probably the craziest sport in the world.
Jake Paul concluded by acknowledging that the fight with Mike Perry had been building up for years, fueled by Perry's continuous trash-talking. He admitted finding Perry's banter amusing and anticipated their matchup to deliver entertaining moments. However, Paul recognized the significant risk involved, noting that losing to Perry could potentially jeopardize the biggest moment and payday of his career.
And not to mention, this fight has been brewing for years. Mike Perry has been talking shit to me non-stop, and I do think this guy is funny. I like his shit talk, and I think this fight is going to have some amazing press conference moments and really entertaining stuff that comes from it. But it is a major risk. I am literally potentially sacrificing the biggest moment of my career, the biggest payday of my career, if I lose to Mike Perry.
Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one.